Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. The government is censoring you more than you would think, and it's happening right under your nose. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. I put out a video last week that I ended up pulling because I didn't really, I rewatched the video and I didn't like the way that the video came out in the sense that I was talking about censorship. I was talking about how the very possibility may come across that once an election starts to hit, whether it be in the US later this year or in Canada next year for 2025's federal election, that some of the censorship I'm already starting to see on the YouTube platform, whether it be my channel or other political Canadian content channels on YouTube, on the platform, it worries me so much with Justin Trudeau's online hate speech, with everything we've seen in the past as to how Justin Trudeau silences people, how he takes away their voice, that we're now ramping up to be in a very scary period where people who don't trust the mainstream media prostitutes won't be able to get their information from online platforms such as YouTube, whether it be YouTube, Rumble, Meta platforms. Again, I pulled that video out of fear that it came across that I was maybe whining that views had been missing from the channel. But now, an article that has surfaced all of a sudden is now putting those fears into reality, that it is no longer about whining about shadow bans or coming across as view crying. This situation has blown up to become very, very real. Now, what I have to share with you today isn't necessarily related to YouTube, or at least there's no information to say it's related to YouTube yet, but we also have confirmation now that after talking about Mark Zuckerberg coming forward during the last presidential election, after being sworn in to testify in the Senate, that he admitted openly to receiving funds and money or kickbacks for, I guess, stomping down on or throwing out and censoring articles that would support the Republicans, that would back Donald Trump. Anybody who was posting news stories or making statements about support of Donald Trump were being flagged and thrown out of the platform. People were being shadow banned. People were being muted. And of course, the Democrats still had to pull shady tactics in order to put old Sleepy Joe in the White House. What we're seeing in Canada now might shock and surprise some of you. And then again, you may be somebody like me who isn't shocked or surprised by this. But before we get into the article, ladies and gentlemen, this would be a good time to remind you that, similar to that video I pulled, now would be a good time that if you enjoy the content on this channel, subscribe, turn on your bell for notifications. I've had some users in the comments of our community telling me that they've been subscribed multiple times this week and had to come back and re-click that bell and smack the button. So if you are already subscribed, double check that you're still subscribed to the channel. If you're new here, again, if you want to continue getting your political news from myself or any other political channel, now is a good time to frequently check that you're subscribed or subscribe to this channel for future updates on political news. We see here Instagram's sneaky move is to limit political content, and it outrages users. Of course, Instagram is owned by Meta, which is also under Facebook. It says here, Instagram users were blindsided by the platform's sneaky rollout of new content filtering tools limiting political content, a setting the social media giant made default for many accounts without ever directly informing users. So again, they've implemented this new feature, and by default, the amount of political content you're seeing is censored. It's limited to what you're seeing on the platform on purpose so that you're unable to get your information. Outraged users took to X to express shock on Friday, accusing Instagram of actively censoring and suppressing political discussion in a year already rife with political tensions. The timing of this feature is very suspicious to me, one Instagram user wrote on X on Friday afternoon. Other social media users expressed concern over Instagram's decision in light of an upcoming and heavy consequential presidential election. You see down here on this, Michaela Oakland tweeted, Instagram put up a new limit political content feature in settings and set it as the default for tons of accounts. The timing of this feature is very suspect to me, but anyway, here's how to fix it. So, of course, you see down here, if you are on Instagram, you can go down to content preferences and into your settings, and you'll see here political content is automatically set to limit. So, you'd want to go in there and adjust that accordingly. People across the political spectrum seem to believe the change was meant to target their own views. Right leaning users suggested Meta is attempting to filter conservative speech only, while left leaning users suggested the company is looking to censor pro Palestinian content related to Israel's military campaign in Gaza. Well, if you use a VPN, you would know how that works by IP address. Now, an IP address is somebody's it's like giving your identification or a driver's license whenever you're on the internet. It tells people where you're located, what country you're in, and these platforms aren't stupid. This isn't to limit. Again, the left, it's saying left-leaning users suggesting this about Gaza. It's merely an excuse because they want to say, don't worry, folks. This is for our protection. Govern me harder. IP addresses can tell where you are. They know you're in Canada. They know you're in the US. If you ever doubt that, go to a site like NBC and try to watch one of their videos in Canada. It'll tell you you're not in the right country to view this, which is why a lot of people resort to things like VPNs so that they can stay incognito and be in whatever country they choose to be to get their content. Here we see Tyler Bauer tweeting out Instagram limits political content and fact check content, meaning that they set as a default to limit conservative posts. Go to your content preferences in Instagram and set it to don't limit and don't reduce. And of course, you see it down here on the standard political content don't limit, reduced by fact checking, don't reduce. Again, Meta had admitted openly through Mark Zuckerberg that they did this in the last presidential race, that they were wanting to suppress stories about the COOF and about medical procedures and about the Republicans because they were paid to do so. It was within special interest. Now, I can't get into the weight of what was discussed in those things. I just know that Mark Zuckerberg had said that that was a policy of theirs, that they were approached by, I believe it was outfits as even as high as the CIA and the FBI to do so. This isn't new to us. McKenna Marie tweeting out Instagram is censoring, and that's not new, but they put a new political content limit. So if you've seen less free Palestine content, this is part of the problem. Settings, content preferences, political content don't limit. The feature is hidden under content preferences and settings and doesn't hide content from accounts that a user already follows. However, it limits suggested content deemed likely to mention governments, elections, or social topics that affect a large group of people and or society at large. So again, when you think about reels that talk about Arrive Scam or talk about anything to do with the government, the non-confidence vote, new policies coming out, the 23% of carbon tax being raised at April 1st. These things would, of course, be filtered out, and you would see less and less of the content. Again, people telling me they don't get notified when we go live. The views on this channel have dropped almost 75% in a week. And again, that comes after a massive successful viewing block on the channel, growth in the algorithm. Now, this channel is doing just fine. I don't want to make it sound like it's the apocalypse. I've just noticed that it's a lot harder to reach higher volumes lately than ever before. And of course, I question censorship. People have a right to watch whatever they want. But when you see things like this, it's simply just, it almost backs up or validates those concerns because it makes you question what are other platforms doing. And again, I'm not worried about views. I'm worried about people getting their information. So I'm worried about what happens as we draw closer to a Canadian election next year and Justin Trudeau's censorship bills. It says Instagram quietly announced the rollout in a blog post on February 9th. And again, this information, this article was written yesterday. So it took this long for people to notice, which said the platform was changing its existing approach to political content and therefore won't proactively recommend content about politics on recommendation surfaces across Instagram and Threads. That announcement was so soft, outraged users said Friday that many people either missed it or wrote it off as a hoax, especially in an age of rampant misinformation. Totally missed this from February when Instagram automatically stopped recommending political content for all users. Literally learned this in an Instagram story that I assumed wasn't real at first, one user wrote on X. This is the new form of warfare, I think. Censorship, of course, is alive and well, and it's only going to get worse. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you're not free to have your opinions. At least that's how Justin Trudeau feels. We've heard Pierre Poilievre say it many times. Justin Trudeau doesn't want to censor bad content. He wants to censor bad content about him. He doesn't like people talking negatively about him. Uh, it's only going to get worse as again as we get closer to elections, and this is scary to think that a tech company is in charge of deciding what you can and can't see. It's bad enough that they limit speech on these platforms. And again, I understand to a certain extent why they do some of the limiting that they do, but limiting somebody the ability to get their information, somebody the ability to hear people's opinions, or the ability to make up your own decision when it comes to an election is baffling and also scary at the same time. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is this bad news for Canada? Is it going to get worse? Were my suspicions correct? Let me know. If you're here for the first time and enjoying this video, again, I urge you to hit that subscribe button, click on your bell for notifications, join us live every Friday on the channel for Friday Night Fringe, where we go over a little bit of what's happened in the week ahead, or the week behind, and a little more of what's coming up in the week ahead. We have a little bit of Q&A back with our community as well, and it's always good to hear what you guys have to say outside of making these videos in a live stream. I love chatting with the community. It's always great to see long-term viewers there. It's good to see new viewers there as well. Again, folks, make sure to like, comment, share this out, get this out. I can almost guarantee you YouTube does not want us talking about this video or this subject in this video. So again, make sure as you hit the thumbs up, as you comment, those things help us get out in the algorithm. Leave 3 comments, 4 comments, whatever we got to do to get this message out so that Canadians know this is scary times ahead. And I guess stay vigilant, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this channel isn't going anywhere. We're not going to reduce the content that we put out on this channel. You're still going to get videos on a regular basis. Make sure to check back often to make sure you're subscribed and catch up on all the latest news dropping here on Unacceptable Fringe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your weekend. I'll catch you on the next one.